You know, every piece of clothing in your closet has a story. But for a lot of what we wear, especially the super trendy and expensive stuff, there's a hidden story. And it's one that comes at a massive cost to both people and the planet. So today, let's pull back the label and really uncover the true cost of fast fashion.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at fast fashion's hidden price tag. Then, we'll dig into the shocking human and environmental costs. After that, we'll break down the engine that actually drives this whole industry. And to finish up, we'll explore a much better, more sustainable way forward.
All right, let's kick things off with something we all get: the appeal. I mean, why is fast fashion just so incredibly successful? Well, it all starts with the price tag.
We've all been there, right? You see a cool shirt for less than a cup of coffee, and you think, wow, how can they even do that? It seems way too good to be true. And that is the hook, the whole seductive magic of fast fashion. Trendy clothes that are so cheap and so fast, they almost feel disposable.
So what is fast fashion, really? Well, the term was actually coined by the New York Times way back in the 90s. They were describing this revolutionary model from Zara. They could take a design from a sketch pad to a clothing rack in just 15 days. Think about that. The entire idea is built on two things: incredible speed and ridiculously low costs, making the absolute latest trends available to all of us, like instantly.
But here's the catch. That speed and that unbelievable price, they come at a cost that you will never, ever see on the price tag. So that's the big question we have to ask. What is the true cost of this constant cycle of take, make, and waste? And that question brings us right to the heart of this whole thing, because those hidden costs, they're paid by real people and by our planet. Let's start with the human toll, because it's staggering.
This was the Rana Plaza factory in Bangladesh. In 2013, huge, visible cracks started appearing in the building's walls. But the garment workers, they were ordered to go back inside and get back to work. The very next day, the entire building collapsed. Over 1,100 people were killed. This wasn't just a tragedy. It was a completely preventable horror story, and a brutal look at what happens when profits are prioritized over human lives.
And listen to this. This is a direct quote from a garment worker in Myanmar. They're explaining what happens when factory auditors show up to check for things like child labor. It just pulls back the curtain on this system of, calculated deception. Workers are literally told to lie, and children are hidden out the back door. It makes it almost impossible to know what's really going on.
The human cost is just devastating, and the environmental price we pay is right up there with it. The numbers here are just mind-blowing. For starters, the clothing industry is responsible for up to 8% of all global greenhouse gas emissions. That is a gigantic carbon footprint, just for our clothes. And it's not just the carbon footprint. This industry is incredibly thirsty. Get ready for this number. We're talking about 215 trillion liters of water used every single year. It's a number that's so big it's almost meaningless, right? But to put it in perspective, that is enough water to fill 86 million Olympic-sized swimming pools every year. And the impact doesn't just stop on land. The textile sector is also responsible for about 9% of the microplastic pollution that ends up in our oceans each year. These tiny particles come from all the synthetic fabrics, polyester, nylon, acrylic, that are basically the lifeblood of cheap, fast fashion.
So where does it all come from? Well, you might be surprised to hear it's happening in our own homes. Every single time we do a load of laundry with synthetic clothes, thousands and thousands of these tiny, invisible plastic fibers break off, wash down the drain, and head straight for our rivers and oceans.
And here you can actually see it happening. On the left, that's a new piece of synthetic fabric, all tightly woven. But on the right, after just a bit of wear and a few washes, you can see it's already starting to fray and break down. Those little loose fibers, those are the microplastics that are now polluting our water.
So you have to ask, what kind of business model is powerful enough to cause all of these massive problems? Well, it's an engine built for speed and efficiency, and it's created what we now call the take, make, waste model. To really get how this engine works, just look at these two giants. Zara basically perfected the model with its hyper-efficient supply chain, hitting that legendary 2-week turnaround from design to store. But then a company like Shein came along and put that model on steroids, using AI to spot trends instantly and shrinking the entire process down to an insane 5 days. The takeaway is pretty clear. The engine of fast fashion isn't just fast, it's getting faster all the time.
But here's the good news. It does not have to be this way. The total opposite of that linear take-make-waste system is something called a circular one. So let's take a look at how we could actually redesign fashion's future.
Okay, so a circular economy is a whole different way of thinking. Instead of a straight line from factory to landfill, it's a circle. The entire goal is to design out waste from the very beginning, to keep our clothes and the materials they're made from in use for as long as humanly possible. What this does is it breaks the link between making money and using up the planet's finite resources.
So what does that actually look like for our clothes? Well, it's all built on 4 awesome models that are already starting to take off. You've got resale, which gives clothes a second, third, or fourth life. There's rental, so you can enjoy variety without having to own everything. There's repair, which is all about extending the life of the things we love. And then there's remaking, which transforms old clothes into something completely new.
And the upsides here are huge. I mean, by keeping clothes in use longer, these models directly attack all the problems we just talked about: the emissions, the water, the waste. And for businesses, it opens up totally new ways to make money, built incredible customer loyalty, and even makes them tougher against supply chain problems. It really is a win for the planet, a win for people, and a win for business.
So we've seen that our clothes carry this hidden story of how they were made. But they also tell a story about us, about our values, our choices, and our impact on the world. So the real question we're left with is this: what story do you want your clothes to tell?